Hype around Liverpool teams is always a next level when they start winning a few matches. But I think take it out of that context. They're not playing amazing football. They're playing decent.
I am happy for Richarlison, especially of all the things he was telling before when he couldn't score a goal for Brazil and said he would get a psychologist. He has always shown much more maturity.
But I don't think that was fair. I think that goal should have stood for Martinelli.
The mind says Arsenal, the heart says Tottenham because you don't want Arsenal to win. Moving on to the next game, Deepak. You want to talk
about scrappy, horrible victories? Newcastle United did one against Brentford. I think it was not a pretty game. I'm not going to dress it up saying Newcastle United play them off the park or anything of that sort. Although we did get most of the chances, but
you were playing at home.
Yeah, playing at home. We needed that victory. We did have 3 defeats. We just needed a way to win, and we found that way to win. So I'm happy we did that.
Lucky as well because the goalkeeper overcommitted. He wasn't even trying to foul, but he slipped and slid through when he tried to get the ball. And I think he was trying to kick it, and then he realized.
Did you see the disallowed goal though?
No, I didn't have a look at that. Which one was that?
You should see that Newcastle scored a goal just before the penalty. Completely fine goal. It was disallowed for a apparent push on the goalkeeper. He jumped up and he completely missed the ball, and it bounced around and Wilson tapped it in. And it was given as a disallowed goal. I think FA are looking into it why it was disallowed, but it's just one of the worst disallowed goals I've ever seen.
So do you think because that was disallowed to make amends, they gave ahead the penalty? Because I mean, it was a penalty.
Honestly, the penalty was a penalty, but perhaps it was soft.
But if what I'm trying to say is, it was given as penalty. But if the particular incident was not given a penalty, I don't think it was something that VAR would have overruled.
No, VAR did not overrule for the penalty.
I know. What I'm saying is, if it was not given a penalty, also it is not something that you probably interject and say no, it was a penalty.
You mean VAR might have overruled it if it hadn't already overruled another goal just before that.
What I'm trying to say is that the referee gave the penalty because of that whole goal incident that happened, possibly. Now again, I did not watch that goal.
No, the overall goal was overruled by VAR. And what I'm trying to say is, the goal on the pitch. Everybody celebrated, and then VAR found a way to overrule that. After that,
VAR finds a lot of ways to do a lot of things. Anyways.
Yeah, no idea what they're doing. Anyway, but Newcastle found a way to win.
It's better than a linesman finally giving up a penalty that costs you Manchester United a title anyway. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Hatem Ben Arfa and Rio Ferdinand. Anyways, moving on. The next game.
Moving on. Next game was Liverpool against Wolves. Wolves won, Liverpool 3. What do you make of it, Munish? I think Liverpool were professional and they got the job done.
They were, but Wolves actually had them on the ropes. They even had a couple of chances when the game was 1-1. And
they scored first also.
They scored first. There was one great save from Ederson. The Wolves goalkeeper also did a good job.
From Alisson, you mean?
Sorry, yeah, Alisson had a great save, but the Wolves goalkeeper also did a good job. I think Wolves are better than I thought they would be. I'm not saying that they're gonna like fight or anything, but they probably can be one of the teams that can save themselves from relegation. They have much more cohesion than was expected, and they had all their tough games already, like quite a few tough games they've already played. So let's see. Liverpool was good. Liverpool played decently. Again, their defense, like they gave Wolves a goal, so I don't see them really fighting for the title unless they can fix a few things. But if this Liverpool team can be fit, they can actually be something. A
the hype around Liverpool teams is always a next level when they start winning a few matches. But I think take it out of that context. They're not playing amazing football. They're playing decent. Yeah, you're right. Their defense is probably their biggest weakness, but Van Dijk is going to be back again. So I think there are a few good things for Liverpool that's going on. They have found a way to win consistently over the last 2-3 matches, and perhaps that's a good habit to get into, and it's not a bad thing at all. So good for Liverpool. not sure whether they can sustain it. But let's move on to the next match, Munish. It's Spurs 2, Sheffield United 1. A late show by Tottenham Hotspur.
I am happy for Richarlison, especially of all the things he was telling before when he couldn't score a goal for Brazil and said he would get a psychologist. He has always shown much more maturity. I'm a Neymar fan, but I absolutely hated the fact that he supported Bolsonaro and Richarlison was. I mean, okay, though that goes political, but the fact
Politics
is,
aside.
Richarlison is a decent person. He seems to be a good human being. He talks about the right things. He needs to be fed to score goals. Ange Postecoglou is a fantastic manager, and I think Tottenham needed that win. They won, and maybe this is going to set them up for a better position to fight against Arsenal next week. In fact, I think Spurs might do really well in that game.
Yeah, I think it was a very good goal by Richarlison. It's a proper centre forwards goal, wasn't it? A run to the near post and a header from a corner. Great goal. Proper centre forwards goal.
And an important goal nonetheless.
A very important goal, yes. And Kulusevski finished it off in the 110th minute. It's a bit mad how many minutes are being added on in these Premier League games, but we've had that conversation before. The referees are
they are only doing what they are told to do. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but I'm not saying it's any one referee's fault, but it's the organization which really needs to double think this. This is that's another conversation for another day, I guess. But
so the question is, as I was going through again, Ange Postecoglou before managing Celtic was managing in Japan and now came to London to manage a decent, good club. Probably already doing wonders with the club. How would Arsenal fans feel about it after they are probably their greatest manager in the modern era, after George Graham also came from Japan and took Arsenal to great heights? Do you think Ange Postecoglou is somewhat more of the sort of manager that you would like rather than Mikel Arteta? Because I mean, me personally, I like people with character. I like the way he spoke about things. And when, especially the answer he gave when people spoke about his honeymoon period, and he's like, I just lost the greatest player in club's history. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Postecoglou is a manager that's showing his experience. He has been there, done it in lots of little leagues, and his progression has always been linear. And he's now found himself at Spurs, which is probably the biggest job he has done in his career. And he's completely unfazed by it. He's playing the sort of football he believes in. He is giving answers which are not always pleasing. He's talking his mind openly. And I think I do respect him for that. I think he is really doing really well at Spurs. And I think for Spurs fans, it's an exciting point in their journey to get back to where they were before. Losing Harry Kane looked like the end of the world when the summer transfer window was going on. But I think it might have made them a better team overall.
Moving on from Spurs and the Ange Postecoglou and the way he has managed to revamp the squad and replenish them and rejuvenate them basically after the loss of Harry Kane, let's talk about Arsenal, who they're going to play the next week. What do you think about Arsenal's 1-0 win, Deepak?
Yeah, so Arsenal's 1-0 win was needed, not very pretty, but again needed 1-0 win. Their goal was a well-taken goal by Trossard, I felt, but honestly, I felt that disallowed goal by Nketiah should have stood. I don't think a lot of people are of that opinion, but I think it was an intentional touch by Beto to give that ball to Nketiah. Gabriel was not even trying to make that pass to Nketiah. So if you are going to stop things like that for not deliberate pass or deflection, the wording around this is extremely vague and people try to interpret it on for their own reason, and that's how that goal was disallowed. I don't think that was fair. I think that goal should have stood for Martinelli. But just talking about Trossard's goal, I think it was a really good finish. Arsenal
he had a after that, fantastic goal in the international break, isn't it? Leandro Trossard has been doing really well right now, and after seeing that, I was wondering why he doesn't do the same for Arsenal. This was a good goal, but I think if you have the time, just go get out and look at the goal that Leandro Trossard scored a few weeks back. Moving on to who do you want to talk about next, Deepak? Chelsea?
We haven't talked about Manchester City, to be honest. So, Manchester
Manchester
City versus
City.
West Ham United, a 3-1 win for Man City.
Yes, but West Ham did have a decent game, to be honest. At the beginning, they weren't that bad. In fact,
They scored
although
first as well.
not only did they score first, this was probably the first time City were. I mean, I'm not saying that they had a scare, but they had to work a bit hard to get that second goal. Although they always looked like they would get it, they did have to work a bit hard for it.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
agree with that. I think West Ham gave them a good contest, and it ended up just going away from them at the end.
yeah, City's
Haaland
qualities.
missed two big chances, two sort of open goals. He was very uncharacteristic of Haaland, but in the end, he ended up scoring a goal anyway. So,
That's
um,
true. Haaland, I really like I mean, he showed his athleticism with that. I think that chip pass that he first tried for Haaland, that ended up behind him. He tried to shoot it in and obviously saved by the goalkeeper. But
yeah,
good
it's a
job
great
there.
save actually by Areola, and
Exactly.
a proper sidekick volley by Haaland. Very acrobatic, as you said,
Ex-
but yeah, well, it was saved. But he got his goal in the end, so
He did.
no foul, no harm done.
So that's it about the game weeks for today. Next week, one question, Deepak: who do you think will win the North London Derby, Arsenal or Tottenham?
I think that's a very question, to be honest.
The
I
mind
think
says Arsenal, the heart says Tottenham because you don't want
exactly.
Arsenal
No,
to
I
win.
think my initial response to that, just as a reflex reaction, was Arsenal, but and I had to rethink it myself because Tottenham are playing such good football, and the last win was all the more impressive because it showed a bit of tenacity about them as well. It showed that they are not giving up without a fight, which previous Tottenham teams have been guilty of doing. So I think it'll be a really good game, but I would still say Arsenal.
All right, keeping a lot of people happy, keeping his best friends happy. Good job, Deepak.
What
All
about you,
right,
Manish?
me, I would say Tottenham because I like to annoy people.
And
Until
you like
next week.
Richarlison?
Well, he's Brazilian. It's not like I'm a big fan of his football, but I like him I mean, I like the way he was honest about it and he spoke up about what he wants to do and how he wants to get back about his mental health, which I think is something that should be lauded. That not a lot of
I
people
agree.
do these days.
Yeah,
He
I
showed
agree
his
with that.
sensitive side, and I think kudos to him for that because not a lot of footballers do that. They try to show themselves as superhuman. They do not want to show weakness, and kids these days probably learn more from that. I'm not a big. I mean, I agree on mental strength, and it's very important. But having a Richarlison as a role model as well is not very bad when you have a Cristiano Ronaldo on the other side. There needs to be a balance in there.
I agree with all that completely. So
Alright.
home win for me for Arsenal and Spurs to win for Munish.
All right, let's see. Okay, that's it from the Global Footballer Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, and all of that. Thank you.